All right, we'd like to welcome our current Open champion, Brian Harman, to the interview room here at the Tour Championship. Brian, making your third career start here at Eastlake. Maybe some opening comments on your game coming in into the week.
Yeah, I had a pretty good showing last week. I don't think anyone could have caught Victor. Played so great. Congratulations to him. It's always nice to be in Atlanta, my home state of Georgia. Being at the Tour Championship is always a sign that you've had a really good year. I've had a really good year, so I'm excited. Game feels good. It's always a busy week here, but be ready to get going tomorrow.
You mentioned your home state, growing up in Savannah, living in Sea Island, obviously spent a few years in Athens, and last night throughout the first pitch in the Braves game. What was that like?
Yeah, I grew up watching the Braves. It's kind of all we ever watched on TV growing up, so really excited to do that. Threw it from the rubber, hit the catcher's mitt, so didn't fall, didn't make Sports Center, not top 10, so very excited about that.
Awesome. We'll turn it over to some questions. Let's go to Mark in the back.
Brian, obviously you're an automatic qualifier for the Ryder Cup. Just your thoughts on Brooks and whether or not you think live guys should be on the team if that matters.
I think if Brooks, he's right there. I think he would be a pretty good addition to the team. I'm not totally familiar with his record in Ryder Cups, but the experience would certainly help, especially considering there's probably going to be a fair amount of rookies over there. In my opinion, the goal of the Ryder Cup is to win. So whoever Zach thinks that can help us win the Ryder Cup, I think needs to be on the team.
Okay, let's go over here.
Sorry, Brian, if I could just follow up on the Atlanta angle again. I understand you brought some hardware to the Georgia football facility and wondered how that came about and your thoughts about doing that.
Yeah, I got to spend the afternoon in Athens. Took a tour of the football facility. Incredibly impressive place. I haven't been back to Athens since 2016, so nice to go over there and reminisce and remember some stuff from college, and just super proud of the way that Kirby Smart's handling that football team.
Great. Jay?
Brian, you grew up in this kind of heat here in Georgia. Do you think it gives you any kind of an advantage playing in this kind of over other players? And what do you do to deal with the heat and the humidity?
You would think it would be a little bit of an advantage, but maybe the heat, being in it for so long, has worn you down. I'm not sure yet. It never seems to get easy to play in heat like this. The Tour's done a really nice job with some amendments to the tee boxes with some cold towels and stuff, and some more hydration stuff. So we'll be a little bit more prepared than we were in Memphis, I think. Memphis kind of snuck up on everybody. So I just hope everybody stays safe. It's going to be, especially people watching. We watch a lot more fans go down than players and caddies. So the fans that are coming out, they need to be really careful because you can get in a lot of trouble out there.
Okay, let's go to Rex.
Brian, as it applies to the Player of the Year vote, I just asked Rory, and he said it kind of boils down to what you value in a successful season between Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm. Do you have a thought on which one of those would be your Player of the Year right now, and can that change this week?
It could certainly change this week. Gosh, yeah, it's so close. Scotty's had one of the most incredible stretches of ball striking that we've maybe ever seen in golf. And then Jon Rahm, especially at the beginning of the year, he just seemed almost unbeatable. They're two incredible players, and I don't think there's a bad choice for Player of the Year. I don't have a specific opinion, no. They're both really, really good. I certainly wouldn't want to make one of them mad before I have to play against them this week, so I'll refrain.
Okay. Can we get a mic right here? No.
Hey, Brian, after this season and all the twists and turns, how for players, how significant is it for them to finally make it to the Tour Championship and to compete? And for you specifically after this season, how confident are you coming in that you could win the FedEx Cup?
Well, I'm 6 shots back of a really incredible player, so I'm gonna have to probably play my best golf of the year to have a chance. I think I have a chance to play my best golf of the year, so my chances are as good as anybody's. But starting 6 shots back it's a steep hill to climb for sure, especially on a place like this where there's a lot of longer par fours to where you're playing for par a lot. So to try to make up ground can be really tough around here.
Okay, let's go to Sean.
I'm sure you were over here.
It sounded like you were in that corner over there, I'm telling you.
I'm sure
Thanks
you
for the
were
article too, Sean. That was very, very nice. Well done.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure you were knocking off some rust in Memphis. What did it mean to kind of get back on the horse and get back in contention last week?
Well, I just needed the reps. I spent 2 weeks at home. I think I only practiced maybe 1 day, 2 days. Was kind of taking a victory lap and doing some partying and seeing some friends I hadn't seen in a long time. So I soaked all that in, and I hated that I wasn't in form when I showed up to Memphis, but I kind of knew that I wasn't. So I kind of had to use Memphis to get the reps that I would have normally gotten the week prior. And it's not that I'm testing stuff in the golf tournament, but I'm fully aware that I'm not all there as far as my game. And it was a little closer last week. I had some, I putted well, chipped well last week, had a couple good days of ball striking. So if I can keep building on that, that'll be the goal this week.
Do you feel like you can have some of your better golf ahead of you? And how do you do that at 36? Or what's the key to maybe having some of your better years that age in a young man's game, as you called it?
I think I spent a little too much time as a younger man worrying about things I couldn't do. I feel a lot more secure in what I can do now and in trying to improve the things that I'm good at, trying to be elite at a few things, not just okay at a lot of things.
Okay, let's go, Doug.
And two things for you. Assuming you're a better player than you were last year or 2 years ago, to what percentage would you give that to skill, execution, playability, and what percentage would you give that to sheer belief and confidence?
Yeah, I've never lacked the ability to execute a variety of golf shots and make putts and hit great chips and things of that nature, but I lack the consistency to have a process that allowed me to get into that frame of mind every day. And as I've gotten older, I feel like I've developed like a system to where I can get closer to that, like kind of on the cusp of performing at the best that I can. I'm just trying to get to where I'm performing to my level more often than I'm not.
What took you so long to figure that out?
Really hard-headed, really stubborn and hard-headed, and just I've always kind of had my back totally against the wall before I changed anything. But one of my strengths is that if something starts working, I can kind of grab onto it and kind of run with it and kind of beat it to the ground, and I'll stick with something until it's inherently not working.
And you mentioned kind of the offense that Lucas being labeled journeyman, I think is what you said last week.
Yep.
How would you have felt if someone had referred to you that way 2 years ago?
Yeah, the journeyman term to me is it's never, the connotation is always negative. It always implies a guy that is bounced back and forth, losing his card. So I don't like throwing that term around to a guy, especially as talented as Lucas. And I would have taken offense to it if it was about me as well.
Has anyone called you that before? Just clarifying.
Yes, they have.
Let's go to Adam.
Ryan, how many captains from various cups have called you to tell you you're not making the team, and which captain delivered it the best, and maybe which one hurt the most?
Let's see. Was that Jim Furyk called and told me I wasn't on the pairs team. Him and I had a really nice conversation, because when he called and told me I wasn't, I'm like, well, I know, like I have not performed as well as I should have, like in an attempt to make this team. Like I understand, like I wouldn't have picked me either. And I just kind of explained to him, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, like, what did you think about, because when you were trying to make your first team, and we had a nice chat about that. And then Steve Stricker called and told me I wasn't making the President's Cup team. I thought I had a better shot at getting picked for that one. But Steve's always been a dear friend of mine, and I understood. I've never not gotten picked and felt like I truly deserved a spot.
Did Davis call you?
Davis called last year. I wanted to be on that team, but once again, I hadn't. I finished third in Memphis last year. I was 70th on the FedEx Cup and ended up. I was playing really well at the end of the year, but I hadn't done anything to warrant, a flyer pick.
Do you think form? It sounds like you think form's more important than experience or being a really good at match play or fitting the course.
I don't because look, the Ryder Cup, coming up. It's what, 2 months away almost. I mean, that's a lifetime in golf. It's a complete lifetime. So I think you have to marry the two. I think form is important, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all because I've seen guys at Walker Cups and different places that have shown up, and it looks like they've got no game, and then they go out into a singles match and beat a guy 7-6. It just having the attitude to rise to the occasion is probably the most important thing. But obviously you have to be in some form.
Okay. And you told us at the Open that you were getting a new tractor. Just curious, if you were to win this thing, what would you splurge on with your FedEx?
I've got everything I need, man. College funds. We'll be splurging on college funds.
All right. We're getting older. Brian, thanks so much for coming in. Best of luck this week, buddy.
Thanks, guys.